What really differentiates us from animals is the capacity to choose. Okay. Animals do not choose, they move by instincts, they are instinctive. Now, instinctiveness is a very important tool that we can use ourselves, but you have to take into account that for animals, that's the only thing they have. And instincts are very powerful because they have been developing for perhaps billions of years. Ever since there were no real animals around, they were just cells, monocellular organisms. Since then, we have instincts, but that's all animals have. We operate on a different level, even though we should take into consideration instincts and intuitiveness, which are slightly different. I don't want to get into that. But we have developed another very, very strong tool, which is our value system. In other words, we choose basically on what is important for us, at least the most important decisions, not the simple ones. Should I eat or not? Of course you have to eat. Should I eat a lot or not? Of course you should. You should not eat a lot because that's going to kill you. That's going to harm you. Okay. Should I do something stupid? I wouldn't recommend it. See, that's instinctive. But when you choose based on values, instincts are no longer at that level. Instincts are no longer valid. It's what you want, regardless of what the consequences might be. Of course, you have to calculate them. But if you want something because it's going to make you feel good, because it's going to give a deeper meaning to your life, you will do that. Now, basically, there are three types of choices that we have. The first type is, for example, less pain and more pleasure. That, perhaps 90% of our decisions are based on that. I want that because it gives me a lot of pleasure. I want to absolutely avoid this because I know it's going to give me a lot of pain. And that can be an instinctive choice, but it can also be a value-based choice. Because perhaps, for example, if a very important value for you is, let's say, love or honesty, okay, and you have to choose and a project or whatever, and you have to say, wait a minute, now, how is this project going to work out? Do I have to stay away from, for example, from the people I love? Or is it going to ask me to be dishonest? These are the considerations that we're going to make. So pleasure and pain are not just based on instinctive matters, but even on values. Then the second type of choice is the one which is, basically a blackmail. Okay. If your teacher tells you, your professor or teacher tells you, you either study or you're going to flunk. How much choice do you have there? Or they tell you, oh, either take this pill or you're going to die. Or you either obey or I'm going to punish you. Stuff like that. So it's basically a blackmail. However, you do have a choice. You can also say, no, okay, I'll flunk. I will study. Okay, I don't care. I don't want those pills. I don't want pills. I'm going to die, perhaps? Yes, perhaps I will. Okay, I'll take the chance. You still have the choice, okay? Even though it's blackmail, quote unquote. It's not a real blackmail. And the third aspect is the one we would all have. That's the offer that you cannot refuse, okay? Because the terms are so advantageous for you, so good for you, that you just cannot say no. Of course, you have a choice to say no, but you won't because that would be stupid. For example, I have to study abroad or take a job abroad because they're going to pay me better, because the position is great, because I'm going to have a lot more opportunities. I'm going to make myself a name. Okay, I have to sacrifice being home with my family, perhaps, for some time during the year. But man, I can't say no to that offer. Now, we would all want to be in that position because that makes decisions so easy. And in fact, you can. you can make this decision much easier. If you follow 6 conditions. So the first condition is absolutely, and it also involves all the 6 of them, not just the first one, freedom. Freedom in the choice that you make and the decisions you make, that is fundamental. Because if you're not free in making that choice, you're not really going to, how can I say, you're really going to get really involved in that decision. You won't do that because you sense that you have been pushed into that, even if it was for need, even if it wasn't somebody who would push you in that direction, but because you absolutely had no other choice. Remember, we always have a choice. That's point 2. That's type 2. Okay, there are going to be consequences, but it's a free choice. You have to make sure that happens. So how many options do you have available? Because more options you have, the more freedom you have. A person, very good friend of mine, once told me that you can tell how free a person is based on the amount of choices, of decisions he made in his life. And that's true. You know, if you count, what are the important decisions that I really made in my life? To get a job, to get married, to have children, to create a retirement fund, whatever. Okay, so who cares? And then everybody makes those decisions. But those that go outside of the normality of things, and he made many choices like that, even taking risks, then you can say that that person is free. Yes, absolutely. If you read the Quadrants of Cash Flow by Robert Kiyosaki, he explains very well that if you take a continuum, which on the 2 extremes you have security on one side and freedom on the other side, then you will see that they're opposite. You cannot have both security and freedom. You have to make a choice. So you're going to make a choice somewhere along that line. The more you get closer to freedom, the more you run away from security. The more you choose security, the less free you're going to be. So you have to make that type of decision. But freedom is absolutely important. And the other thing that you have to consider, how free am I to choose something that is really aligned with my value system? We go again with value systems. Are you doing something that goes against your value system, or something that are you aligned with your value system? That decision is going to make you more aligned with your value system. That's the thing that you have to consider. The second thing that you have to take into account is the paternity of your decision. Okay, you can take your time to make a decision, a very important one, but once you make the decision, you take on the full accountability and paternity of that decision. No excuse. Oh, but they made me do it. I had no other choice. Okay, things are going to happen. It never happened. I don't know if it happened to you, that once you started a project, you started go for a goal, that everything went like smooth. It never happens. You can never say what's going to happen along the way. And that's because that's normal. That always happens. It has to happen somehow, because behind a goal, there's always our growth. So it is, pursuing a goal always presents challenges, and challenges are there for us to grow, which is the real goal. But you have to take that into consideration. And even say, well, I did not expect that. You still are going to assume the paternity of your choice. So the question is, are you willing to accept the paternity of your choice? That's what you have to ask yourself. The third thing is if somehow this is exactly what I should be doing. In other words, is it worth it? Is it really worth it? Are there more benefits, or are there more risks or drawbacks in this? Or which advantages is this going to create for me? more advantages or more disadvantages. So yeah, it has to be clear that what you want is exactly what you want. What you want to pursue is exactly what you want. That is what you have to make sure of before you do anything else. Another thing, the fourth one is flexibility and adaptability. Now, you never flexible or you never adapt to goals. The goal is the one you set. That is the goal. That doesn't change. What you may change and what it has to be flexible and what you have to adapt to is a new strategy to get to that goal. The goal, if you did your homework, that's your goal. You're not going to change your goal along the way, but you can change your strategy. So flexibility at this point is something important. So you have to ask yourself, am I flexible enough? Or do I have enough tools, enough weapons that will allow me to face any drawback along the way? That is what you have to ask yourself. And then you must have control on that situation. Control is basic here. If you have no control, it'll never work. If the control is in somebody else's hands, I have a friend of mine who has this project. I think I'll go along with it. He asked me to go with him. Yes, you can consider that, of course, but you have to know how much control you have in that. What if it doesn't work? Okay, what's going to happen? Are you in control or are you not? In other words, how much can you have an influence on the choice that are being made? Basically, that's what it means. As I said before, you have to be flexible. If I go that way, if I have that goal where I don't know if I have enough control, and if there are going to be difficulties along the way, do I have the control or do I have enough control to change things a little? Not the goal, the strategies. That's very, very important. And of course, last but not least, who are the beneficiaries? Do you have that clear in mind? Are you the only beneficiary or your family? Which other people are going to be affected by your choice, positively or negatively? Because, if it's good, they're the beneficiaries. They're going to get something out of it. They'll give you support. We can't do anything alone. They will give you support as long as they know that they can trust you, as long as they know that you're working for them as well. And you have to make sure that if you do take the paternity of whatever happens, that you are the one that is going to pay the price, not the others. They didn't ask you to do anything. They will support you, but basically, I don't know if that's right or wrong. But if you do something which they will benefit from as well, okay, you have to make sure that they're not going to have to pay the price if these things don't work. Taking up the fraternity is I pay the price. Now that makes you incredibly free. Because if you don't do that, say, no, I'll share the responsibilities. That could be an option, but they have to agree on that. Otherwise, it's not an option for them. And you can expect them to support you. They will support you if you take full responsibility, and they'll love you if things go well. That's as good as you can get. Okay, so if you take these six conditions and you work in these conditions so that you know which kind of choice you have to make out of the three that I mentioned above, you're going to be a lot more in control. Your self-esteem is going to increase dramatically. So, and by far, you're going to feel confident. So don't forget that. You're also doing all this work. You're not doing it just for somebody else. You're doing it for yourself. And not just to have some material advantage of that. Remember that behind any choice that we make, there is always, always, all the time, our personal growth at stake. So don't waste it. See you next time.